Okay, we're back on the record on cause 626271, State of Texas versus Eric Dwayne Schultz. This is a second amended motion to enter adjudication of guilt and revoke community supervision. I believe when the defense counsel and the defendant went back to confer, I had asked Mr. Schultz on the second amended motion to enter adjudication of guilt and revoke community supervision. How does he plead?
He was going to plead true, Your Honor, with an explanation.
Fair enough. And Ms. Gross, would you please advise the court and the parties of the status of Mr. Schultz's probation? I remind you, you're still under oath.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Schultz has done well with reporting on probation. We did last see him on December 15th, 2021. He has paid $540 towards his fees. He has a balance of $505 and he is currently delinquent $184. Excuse me. We have no record of any of his 36 hours community service having been completed. And we have no record of enrollment or completion of DWI education, victim impact panel, or the CAT-SNP program. He is currently testing on Smart Start at 4 times per day. He has had 17 skip tests as alleged on the MTR. And since the MTR was filed, he has had 4 additional skips and 1 high BRAC on November 25th at 0.037. He has had 2 positive drug tests for alcohol. This is his first violation report, first MTR. He has no criminal history. His officer is recommending that he be placed on a SCRAM device, conduct weekly UAs via the IVR call line for a minimum of 60 days, and that he attend the CATS IOP program.
Okay, Ms. Blake, what are you requesting?
I'd like to call Mr. Schultz, Your Honor, so he can provide to the court his explanation.
Sure. Mr. Schultz, want to raise your right hand for me, sir? You swear the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Defense your witness.
Mr. Schultz, can you explain to the court the reason for the missed or skipped breath tests?
On the 2 drug tests that were conducted in the first July and August or September, I didn't know that because they didn't make me do a retest at the drug testing office in San Antonio. They didn't even tell me that I failed the drug test or anything. And on the skip test, due to the fact that I recently lost a job because of my background prior to the whole obstruction of a highway charge, they had to let me go due to that charge by company reasonings. And it took me about a month to find another job. And within that month, I had 3 different warrants put out for my arrest. And I had to have my family bond me out, even my girlfriend bond me out on those 3 warrants, which basically took the money away from figuring out how I can get my 3 classes done, plus my community service done.
Do you have an explanation as to why the classes have not been completed?
Yes, ma'am. I was supposed to do a class yesterday. I was supposed to do the victim impact panel yesterday, but I basically, at the new job I have, we had 6 people call in sick yesterday. And due to the fact of that, they asked me if I can come in and to work to be able to cover their shifts. And I opposed myself to help my job out. And I also called the place that I already had the appointment scheduled, and they said I can do it next month.
Already paid for that class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so do you have an explanation as to why you were not able to complete your community service hours?
It was because every time I was gonna have the money to be able to pay, because I talked to my probation officer about doing like paying $360 to a charity, one of the 3 charities that they gave me on a piece of paper when I signed my probation at the probation office. And I was gonna start paying on that, but when I had the first 3 warrants issued on me, since I've been on probation, it basically took the money out of my pocket to be able to pay my I'm trying to think of the word. It was on my community service hours for the donation for the charities.
Okay. And did you hear the probation officer's recommendation on this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you in agreement with the recommendation, or are you in agreement with that recommendation?
On the device, I don't feel like I'm comfortable with that, because I'm already struggling to pay for the Smart Start device. And with the money, I'm only making maybe $300 to $400 every week. Plus I have to pay my mom and dad rent. Plus I have my own bills I have to pay. And I don't feel comfortable that I'm going to be able to afford a $350 device. Plus I'm already paying $20 every month for a UA.
You are currently working though?
Yes, ma'am.
And where do you work?
I work at a company called Taco Casa here in Kerrville.
Okay. And you are living in Kerrville?
Yes, ma'am.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
State questions?
No questions from the state, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Blake, do I have your permission to ask Mr. Schultz some question?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Schultz, why are you missing all these blows? 17 blows is a lot of blows at 4 blows a day.
Due to the process of me working at the other place that let me go, when we're busy, and I explained it to my probation officer till I was blue in the face, and she kind of understood, but she just told me to not let it happen again. And I did my best to not let it happen again. But when we're busy, and I understand that should come first, because that's dealing with my freedom. But if I didn't do what my boss told me, I would have had a job from the get-go. But during the rush, I didn't have the time to be able to go and blow in the device, because I only have a 2-hour window to be able to blow in the device. Besides after 5, I have a 5-hour window. But we're usually at the last job I had, we were busy from 5 to 10.
Okay, you understand you have a 2-hour window in which to make each blow,
Yes, sir.
and you still can't get the time to go do the blows. Is that what you're telling me?
I was explaining to my managers, but we were some of those days that I missed blows, we were so shorthanded, and we didn't have another person to be able to take my spot for 5 to 10 minutes to be able to blow in the device.
And you agree with the probation officer that they found you to be consuming alcohol on at least 2 occasions during your probation? Does that sound right?
Yes, sir. I admitted to one. I admitted to one of the altercations to my probation officer.
And basically, you've been on probation about 6 months. That sound right? You went on June 2021, I believe. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So you've been on 6 months. You've got 6 more months, and you haven't completed any programs in those 6 months?
Well, like I was explaining to you, the first 3 warrants basically took out of the money that I had saved to be able to get into into the classes, plus pay my probation. I had to pay my probation plus my breathalyzer and for the classes plus the community service hours. Basically, I had to pay my own mother and my father back the money that they paid to get me out on the first 2 bonds, because otherwise I would be out on the streets.
Okay, so what you're telling me is you couldn't afford to do the programs. Does that sound right?
Yes, sir. The money was not there. I paid for one of the classes, which I was supposed to have yesterday. And due to the fact that I basically rescheduled it for next month, to do the victim impact panel due to my job being short employees yesterday. And I had to basically take up the slack from my job to be able to have us open.
And the 36 hours of community service you were assessed as part of your probation, that didn't cost you any money. Did you do any of those?
No, I explained to my explained to my probation officers. He told me I could do I paid $360 to a charity, one of the 3 charities that you get printed out on a piece of paper that are for Bear County, or do the 36 hours. Well, me living in Kerrville and having to do my community service in San Antonio, it was impossible because I do not have a set of 4 wheels.
Okay, Susan, are we aware that Mr. Schultz has been living in Kerrville?
Yes, sir. I do believe that we are aware of that.
And he's just reporting in San Antonio. He's just driving in when he needs to, or doing Zoom, I guess, currently.
Let me look here. Yes, it looks like he's doing Zoom appointments. And as far as doing his community service and not being able to do it in Kerrville, that is not true, Your Honor. The officer would find a suitable location for the defendant to do his community service.
My perception is he wasn't aware that he had the ability to do it in Kerrville. That sound right, Mr. Schultz?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Okay. Can we all agree, Susan, can we all agree that Mr. Schultz, the one thing he did properly was he's reported well? That sound right?
Yes, sir.
All right. State recommendation?
Honor, the state agrees with probation's recommendation and asks for compliance within 10 days, substantial compliance within 10 days.
Well, here's our problem. Mr. Schultz cannot afford a scram bracelet, which costs approximately $350 a month. Is that correct, Mr. Schultz?
Yes, sir. There's no way, because I have to basically pay money back. I already just previously spent $92.01 to be able to have the service on my Smart Start for this month. And then if I get the other device, I got to pay another almost $90 just to give the Smart Start device back to Smart Start.
All right, here's my dilemma. I only have a certain number of tools in my toolbox, and I can't make you blow in the machine, so that's not working. So Smart Start's not going to work for us. We've proven that. You're not able to afford a scram bracelet, which is very truthful, and I understand that can happen, but I don't have any other options left than jail. I can't get you to stop drinking. I can't monitor your alcohol intake, and that leaves me to jail. That's my problem. So Ms. Blake, would you address that for me and see if you've got any other ideas I haven't come up with yet? What did I miss?
Your Honor, is it possible to do some kind of work release? I know he is in Kerrville, but he is working. He has explained to the court the different responsibilities that he has.
If work release were viable in this environment, I would say that would be a great solution. My understanding of work release now is people are told to stay at home and work from home. They don't go to the jail and spend the night in jail and then are released because the pandemic will restrict that.
Right.
So that's the problem.
Does
anybody know what the quotient that the sheriff is using for jail time these days is? Johnny, you might know that. You're kind of on top of that all the time.
My understanding, Judge, they're still doing 2 for 1 and then 3 for 1 if they're a trustee.
Okay. State recommendation?
The state agrees with
probation. All right, yes. I just told you the scram's not going to work, and that's the state's recommendation. So you have any other recommendation?
For the state, jail.
How long in jail do you think would be equitable under the circumstances? Mr. Schultz is not a serial killer. He's just a drinker, but I can't get him to conform to the requirements of probation. So I'm running out of options.
The state would recommend 30 days, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Schultz, in cause 626271. On the second amended motion to enter adjudication of guilt and revoke community supervision, the court accepts your plea of true with an explanation. I grant the state's motion to revoke your deferred adjudication probation. I adjudicate you guilty of the offense of obstruction of a passageway, roadway, or waterway. I sentence you to 60 days in the Bear County Jail, assess a $1,000 fine plus court costs. Credit for time served, time and money to run concurrent. You're to report to the Bear County Jail at 9:00 a.m. on Monday, the 10th of January, 2022, to serve your sentence. What I'm trying to craft here, I think 30 days in jail plus or minus is probably enough to get your attention and slow down any future problems. So I'm guessing the sheriff's going to give you 2 for 1, and that'll equate to 30 days. So Ms. Blake, that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, Judge.
So, and if I had any other options, or you could afford Scram, we'd be talking about that. Because you're not a bad guy, but you're not a good probationer is kind of where we're at. All right. Anything
I
further?
understand that, sir.
Anything further from the state of the defense on Mr. Schultz?
Nothing from the state.
Your Honor, the only issue, of course, is that there is an active warrant because I think the MTR was
As
amended.
a matter of law, and I will also enter on our order today that all prior requirements of pretrial bond and all warrants will be recalled.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Good luck, Mr. Schultz. Thank you, Ms. Blake.
Thank you,
All
Judge.
right, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Agnew. Mr. Cisneros, will be ready to proceed on Mr. Agnew at this time.
We are, Your Honor.
It's cause 621-088, State of Texas versus Michael Agnew. This is a motion to revoke community supervision. Mr. Agnew is represented by Mr. Johnny Cisneros. Once again, representing the state, Mr. Eddie Villarreal, and Mr. Ross Lewis, representing the Bear County CSCD, Ms. Susan Gross, who I remind is still under oath. The first document I have for Mr. Agnew and Mr. Cisneros to identify their signatures on is entitled Defendant's Consent to Motion to Revoke Hearing by Video Conference. In fact, Mr. Agnew, is this your signature on this document, sir?
Yes, sir, it is.
Thank you. And Mr. Cisneros, as attorney for Mr. Agnew, is this also your signature on this document?
It is, Your Honor.
Thank you. The next document I have inquiring about your signatures is a document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal that is marked, quote, is a revocation of the defendant's community supervision, and the defendant has a right to appeal the court's actions, revoking the community supervision, but not the underlying conviction. In fact, Mr. Agnew, is this your signature on this document also, sir?
Yes, sir, it is.
And Mr. Cisneros, as attorney for Mr. Agnew, is this also your signature on this document?
It is, Your Honor.
Okay. My understanding, Mr. Cisneros, is that this is an uncontested motion to revoke community supervision. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Agnew, in cause 621-088 on the motion to revoke community supervision, how do you plead, sir?
Your Honor.
Ms. Gross, would you please advise the court and the parties of the status of Mr. Agnew's probation?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Agnew has done well with reporting up until November 30th of 2021, which is the last time that we saw him. He did not report in the month of December. He has paid $902 towards his fees. He has a balance of $534. In this case, did expire on January the 5th, 2021, which is today. He did complete all 36 hours of his community service. He's currently on Smart Start testing 6 times per day since September 17th, 2021. And since October 9th, 2021, he has skipped 12 tests. He has had 10 positive drug tests and 3 negative drug tests. He's had 4 positive for benzodiazepines and 6 for amphetamines. The defendant has provided valid prescriptions, which will test positive for all of those positives. Therefore, those UAs are negated. He has completed DWI education, victim impact panel, and the CAT-SNP program. His criminal history includes theft 500 to 1,500, assault bodily injury, criminal mischief 750 to less than 2,500, possession of a controlled substance penalty group 1 less than 1 gram, and he is currently on probation on the felony side for a retaliation. This is his 5th violation report, 2nd MTR. His officer is recommending that he be extended for 1 year and a SCRAM device be added.
Mr. Cisneros, what are you requesting?
Judge, like she said, he's completed all his classes. He's done everything. Part of the problem of the skips is that he's had problems with the devices. Now, and this has happened several times. He got a new device recently, and since he's gotten the new device, everything he's been testing on a regular basis, he doesn't have any missed or skip test or anything like that. He owes $534. We're prepared to pay that today. We'd like for him to terminate on set if we could today, Your Honor. I would hate for him to do any jail time at all, Judge. He has a very, very good job. He's making anywhere from $125,000 to $150,000 a year. And he works very, very hard. He works a lot of hours. And part of the problem is of the skips is because he forgets that he has to take the test because he's working. Not that he's drinking or anything like that. It's just that he's working. So I'm asking that we terminate him on SAT. We'll pay the $534 today. And then he can deal with the issues with the felony upstairs on his case.
State recommendation, please.
State recommendation, Judge, is for revocation and 30 days of full house arrest.
Your Honor, if I may, on a full house
Sure.
arrest, he will probably lose his job.
And where does Mr. Agnew work? I'm sorry.
He worked for an engineering company, Your Honor.
What kind of
He works
engineer? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Let me see. He sent me, Mr. Agnew, you can tell His Honor where you work, please.
Work for DPIS Engineering.
And are you an engineer, sir?
I'm a code and energy inspector for new construction.
And Susan, what was the original amount of fine in this case, if you know?
Judge, it was $1,000.
How much vacation do you get at your job, Mr. Agnew?
I get vacation, but I haven't found time to actually use it, so I'm not sure how much exactly I have.
Might be a good time to find out. Okay, Mr. Agnew, on cause 621-088, the court accepts your plea of true with an explanation. I grant the state's motion to revoke your probation. I sentence you to 60 days in the Bexar County Jail, assess $1,000 fine plus court costs, credit for time served, time and money to run concurrent. You're to report to the Bexar County Jail at 9:00 a.m. on Monday, January 10th, 2022. Anything further from the state of the defense on Mr. Agnew?
Judge, I would like for His Honor to reconsider. I'm really, really concerned about him losing his job. I mean, this is a type of job that they're hard to find, and you know, his position is an important position for the company. But forgetting about the company, I mean, the type of money that he earns, he's a lifelong friend of my son. He's come to my house several times, not recently because my son doesn't live with us anymore. He's a very, very good young man. I've known him for years. It's just that he's had his issues with the alcohol, but it shouldn't go to the extent of him losing such a good job, Your Honor. I'd rather see him do the 30 days house arrest and he can take the vacation time or something like that. That's just a lot. That's a big chunk of money to lose.
I don't know how much nicer we can be to Mr. Agnew. This is a second MTR. We didn't revoke him the first time. We gave him a second chance. He's got a colorful criminal history. We didn't hold that against him. We gave him a chance to do everything correctly. And you know me very well, and you've been doing MTRs in front of me for many years. And how often do I give less than a maximum sentence on these MTRs, Mr. Cisneros? Never, never.
I understand.
And you got me down to 60 days, which is really going to be 30 days. So how much nicer can I be? You want to go back up and make it 6 months instead of 2 months? Would that be helpful?
Can we do this, Your Honor? Can we get him to find out how much vacation time he has, so that we can do that so it doesn't affect his job and come back?
I can't carry the weight of the world on my shoulders, Mr. Cisneros. I certainly commend you on doing a great job for your client and trying to look in every nook and cranny to protect him, but you can't do it for him. So he's been sentenced. Y'all gonna have to deal with it. I've already explained to him he might want to look into his vacation time right now and see if that will assist him. Okay. But my guess is he's gonna be in jail for 30 days is what my guess is. I can't, okay. I'm not the sheriff. I don't make those decisions. But that's as good as it gets, and you know that. So I apologize it's that way, but it's that way. Good luck, Mr. Agnew. Thank you, Mr. Cisneros. Y'all are dismissed.
Quick question, sir. When does he have to turn himself in? I didn't write that down.
Monday morning, this coming Monday, which is January the 10th at 9 a.m., Bear County Jail.
Thank you.